I stood in the shadows of Le Petit Jardin, watching through the window as my family celebrated my sister Marie's promotion to executive chef at the city's most prestigious restaurant. The irony wasn't lost on me. They'd chosen to celebrate at one of my restaurants, though they didn't know it yet. To Marie, my father raised his crystal glass, who proved that culinary excellence runs in the Anderson blood. My mother beamed, adjusting her pearls. And to think she did it the proper way. Cordon Bleu, apprenticeships in Paris, none of that street food nonsense. That last barb was aimed at me, of course. 2 years ago, I'd walked away from the proper path they'd laid out, refusing the prestigious culinary school acceptance and instead starting with a food truck. The fight that followed had been explosive. Your cooking will never succeed, Mom had laughed, her voice dripping with disdain. Food trucks and fusion cuisine? That's not real cooking, dear. That's just playing pretend. Through the window, I watched as Marie regaled them with stories of her rise through the ranks. She'd always been the proper daughter, following their approved path, never questioning, never deviating. My phone buzzed. Miss Chen, final paperwork is complete. You now own every major restaurant in the downtown district. Should we proceed with the announcements? I smiled, remembering how it all started. While they thought I was playing with my food truck, I was building an empire. The truck had led to a small restaurant, then another and another. But I'd kept my name off everything, operating through my company, Phoenix Restaurant Group. The food critics had raved about the mysterious new restaurant group transforming the city's culinary scene. Innovative. Revolutionary. A perfect blend of classical technique and modern vision. They had no idea all these acclaimed establishments belonged to the daughter my parents had written off as a failure. Send the notices, I typed back. Start with Le Petit Jardin. Inside, the maitre d' approached their table with an iPad. Pardon the interruption, but we have an important announcement for all our guests tonight. The large screens around the restaurant, usually showing elegant food presentations, flickered to life. My mother paused with her fork halfway to her mouth. Marie's self-satisfied smile faltered. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcement began. Le Petit Jardin is proud to announce its official integration into the Phoenix Restaurant Group. Please welcome our owner, who many of you know from her acclaimed innovations in the culinary world. My picture appeared on the screens. The sound of shattering glass echoed as my mother's wine glass slipped from her fingers. That's impossible, Marie stammered. This is Jean-Pierre's restaurant. Was Jean-Pierre's restaurant, I said, finally stepping out of the shadows. He retired last month. Sold to Phoenix Group. Just like La Maison, Le Bistro Elegant, and every other major restaurant in the downtown district. Sarah. My father's face had gone pale. You own Le Petit Jardin? Among others. I smiled, smoothing my designer suit. In fact, I own every restaurant you've called real cooking for the past 2 years. That street food nonsense paid quite well. The maitre d' appeared at my elbow. Your usual table is ready, Miss Chen. Chen. My mother's voice was faint. You changed your name? Professionally, yes. I thought it might be better if my success wasn't immediately linked to the Anderson name. I sat down at the adjacent table, enjoying their shocked expressions. It made acquiring properties easier when people weren't prejudiced by family connections. Marie's face had turned an interesting shade of red. But, my promotion. Ah, yes, about that. I opened the portfolio I'd brought with me. I'm afraid there's been a change in management structure. All executive positions are being reviewed under the new ownership. You can't do this, my father started to rise. Marie has worked. Actually, I can. And I have. I met his eyes steadily. You see, while you were all laughing at my food truck, I was building something bigger than you could imagine. Every restaurant you've praised, every chef you've admired, every proper establishment you've held up as an example of real success. They all work for me now. The silence that fell over their table was broken only by the soft classical music playing through the restaurant's speakers. Around us, other diners were starting to notice the tension, their curious glances darting between my family's table and the screens still displaying my image. Perhaps we should continue this discussion in the private dining room, I suggested, rising smoothly. Robert, please escort my family to the Azure Room. The maitre d' nodded. Right this way, please. My mother looked like she might refuse, but social appearances had always been her weakness. Making a scene in public was unthinkable. They followed Robert, my father's hand shaking as he reached for his wine glass to take it with him. The Azure Room was my favorite private dining space in Le Petit Jardin. I designed it myself, elegant blue silk wallpaper, hand-blown glass chandeliers, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city lights. It was where I usually conducted business meetings, though this wasn't quite the type of business I'd anticipated. "Now then," I said once we were seated, "let's discuss the changes coming to the city's culinary landscape." "Changes?" Marie's voice cracked. "What changes?" I pressed a button and a holographic display appeared above the table, showing a map of downtown's restaurant district. Red dots highlighted every establishment I now owned. Phoenix Restaurant Group has acquired 37 establishments in the past 18 months, I explained, watching their faces as the implications sank in. From fine dining to boutique cafes, we now control roughly 80% of the high-end culinary market in the city. 37. My father muttered, his financial mind already calculating the numbers. That would take hundreds of millions. 412 million to be exact. I smiled, remembering how they'd mocked my little food truck business. "That food truck you laughed at? It turned a profit of $300,000 in its first year. I reinvested everything, expanded into catering, then small restaurants. Each success funded the next acquisition. But the licenses, the permits," my mother stammered, "were all obtained legally and quietly through shell companies." I pulled out another document. "While you were busy telling everyone how I'd failed, I was building a restaurant empire. Every time you bragged about Marie's proper career path, I was closing another deal." Marie grabbed the document, her hands trembling as she read. "This can't be right. These profit margins are very real," I assured her. "Turns out that understanding street food culture and fusion cuisine gives you insight into what modern diners actually want." "Who you?" My phone buzzed. A message from my CO. "Channel 5 News is requesting an interview about the restaurant acquisitions. They're running a special on the mystery restaurant queen of downtown." Speaking of which, I turned back to my family. "The press announcement goes live in an hour. I thought you should hear it from me first. Professional courtesy." "Professional courtesy?" My father's voice rose. "You secretly bought out the entire restaurant district and you talk about professional courtesy?" "Yes, I did." I met his gaze steadily. "Just like you secretly told every high-end restaurant in town not to hire me 2 years ago because it would embarrass the family name to have an Anderson working in a kitchen without proper credentials." His face paled. "How did you?" "I have excellent sources now. Amazing what people tell you when you sign their paychecks." I opened my laptop, showing them the press release draft. "Tomorrow morning, every major news outlet will announce that Phoenix Restaurant Group, under my leadership, has revolutionized the city's culinary scene. They'll talk about our innovative fusion concepts, our commitment to sustainable sourcing, and our chef development program." "Chef development program?" Marie's head snapped up. "Yes. We're partnering with local culinary schools to provide opportunities for talented chefs, regardless of their background or proper credentials." I emphasized the word they'd thrown at me so many times. "In fact, we're completely restructuring the hiring criteria for all our establishments." "You can't just change everything," my mother protested. "These restaurants have traditions, standards." "Had traditions," I corrected her. "The old guard is giving way to new vision. Starting with the executive positions." Marie's face crumpled as the implication hit her. "Pie promotion will need to be earned based on merit, not name or connections." I pulled out another document. "Your performance reviews from your previous positions were interesting reading. Lots of noted absences, complaints about attitude, resistance to innovation." "Those are confidential," she gasped. "Not to the owner of the restaurant group." I closed the file. "You'll have the opportunity to reapply for the position, of course, along with other qualified candidates, including some very talented food truck chefs I know." My father slammed his hand on the table, making the crystal glasses rattle. "This is revenge, isn't it? For not supporting your alternative career choices." "Revenge?" I laughed, the sound echoing in the elegant room. "No, Dad. This is business. Something you taught me very well, remember? Never let emotions cloud your judgment. Those were your words. I pressed another button, and the holographic display shifted to show financial projections. Phoenix Restaurant Group's market value has increased 300% in the last year. Our innovative concepts have attracted investors from across the globe. The waiting list for a table at any of our establishments is 3 months long. My mother was staring at the numbers, her social butterfly facade cracking. But all those charity galas I chair, they're held at these restaurants. Yes, they are. I smiled, remembering all the time she'd excluded me from those events. And they'll continue to be. Though the guest lists might need some adjusting. We're implementing a new community outreach program, partnering with local food banks and culinary education initiatives. You're going to turn our social events into soup kitchen fundraisers? She gasped. Among other things. I pulled up another document. We're also launching a scholarship program for aspiring chefs from underprivileged backgrounds. The announcement ceremony will be held next month at Le Petit Jardin. I trust you'll all attend. The look of horror on their faces was almost comical. The idea of their exclusive social circle mixing with scholarship recipients from the wrong side of town was clearly their worst nightmare. My phone buzzed again, this time with a video call from my executive chef at our flagship restaurant. I answered it on the room's large display screen. Miss Chen, sorry to interrupt, but the James Beard Foundation is on the line. They want to confirm your keynote speech at next month's awards ceremony. Marie made a choking sound. The James Beard Awards were the Oscars of the culinary world. Something she'd been desperately trying to get noticed by for years. Tell them I'll send the speech outline tomorrow, I replied, watching my sister's face. Oh, and please ensure they received the updated nominee list from our restaurant group. After ending the call, I turned back to my family. That reminds me, Marie, about your James Beard Award nomination. What about it? She whispered, though I think she already knew. The nomination came through your previous position, which is now under Phoenix Group ownership. Given the recent management changes and our review of your actual contributions to the menu, I let the sentence hang. You're blocking my nomination? Her voice rose to a shriek. Not blocking. Just ensuring accurate credit is given to the actual creators of the dishes. I pulled out another file. It seems several of your signature recipes were actually developed by your line cooks. They'll be receiving the nominations instead. My father stood up so quickly his chair toppled backward. This is outrageous. You can't just come in here and destroy everything we've built. I'm not destroying anything, I said calmly. I'm building something better. Something real. Not the facade of success you've been maintaining. I opened my laptop again, pulling up security footage from 2 years ago. Would you like to see the video of you meeting with restaurant owners, telling them not to hire me? Or perhaps the emails warning them about the embarrassment of having an Anderson working in a food truck? He sank back into his chair, the fight draining from his face. Everything you did to stop me only pushed me to work harder, think bigger. I stood, smoothing my designer suit. While you were all laughing at my little business, I was learning every aspect of the industry. While you were blocking my applications to proper restaurants, I was building my own empire. The door opened and my assistant entered with a stack of papers. Miss Chen, the press is gathering in the main dining room for the announcement. And the Food Network crew is here for the documentary interview. Documentary? My mother squeaked. Yes. They're doing a special on revolutionary changes in the culinary industry. From Food Truck to Food Empire is the working title. I gathered my things. They're particularly interested in the story of how a chef rejected by traditional establishments built her own restaurant group. Before I go, I said, placing a folder in front of each family member, these are the new terms of your relationship with Phoenix Restaurant Group. Marie opened her folder first, her face growing paler with each page. Line cook position? You're demoting me to line cook. I'm offering you a chance to earn your way up legitimately this time. I met her eyes. Starting where I wanted to start before Dad's interference. You'll learn every station, every aspect of the kitchen. If you prove yourself, you can advance, based on merit, not name. This is humiliating, she whispered. No, Marie. Humiliating was having my family mock my food truck at every society event. Humiliating was watching you take credit for other chefs' creations while calling my fusion cuisine amateur hour. I turned to my parents. Your folders contain something different. My mother's hands shook as she opened hers. Our membership privileges are being reviewed, I finished for her. Your unlimited access to our restaurants, your preferred reservation status, your private dining room rights. All of those were based on your social position and Marie's employment. But my charity events, she began, will need to comply with our new community engagement requirements. I pulled up another document on the display. Each event must include a significant charitable component benefiting local food security initiatives. And yes, that means actually serving the communities you've been excluding. My father hadn't opened his folder yet. He just sat there staring at me with a mix of anger and, was that pride? No, couldn't be. Aren't you going to look at yours, Dad? He opened the folder slowly, his financial trader's eyes scanning the documents. You want me on your board? As a minority member, yes. I smiled at his surprise. Despite everything you did teach me about business, consider this an opportunity to see how well I learned. And if we refuse these terms? Marie demanded. Then you'll be treated like any other customers, if you can get a reservation. Our waiting lists are quite long. I checked my watch. The press conference starts in 10 minutes. Would you like to be there when I announce the changes, or should I have Robert show you out the back door? My mother's social survival instincts kicked in. We will attend. Wonderful. I pressed a button and Robert appeared. Please escort my family to the press area. And Marie, I added as they stood, you might want to change before your shift tomorrow. Designer dresses aren't appropriate for line cook duties. As they filed out, my father lingered. Sarah. Yes. The food truck. That first year, did you really make $300,000? Actually, it was closer to $400,000. I rounded down to seem less. I paused, choosing my words carefully, threatening to the established restaurants. He nodded slowly. No. The entire group. Last quarter's revenue was $89 million. This quarter's projections are higher.